Hey there everyone, Case41 here, and it has been a hot minute since I have posted anything, but there's a good reason for that. I've been up to quite a bit, so I figured it was time to let everyone in on what I've been up to. So, Reverse Survivors is officially on Steam. That's right, my little prototype game is going to be a full Steam release. I've been pouring a lot of time into that process, and that's why I haven't done any videos. If you go to the Steam page, which you absolutely should, and give it a wish list, you will notice that Holiver Studios is listed as the developer and publisher. Well, that is an LLC that I own and dusted off to actually use for, what I made it for, which was for making games, which I haven't really released any up until this point, so first time I'm using it. So don't worry about it. Nobody ripped off the game. It's just a legal protection and tax thing that needs to be done for me and my family. So no worries there. I've also started taking pretty much everything a little bit more seriously in relation to YouTube as well as Reverse Survivors, so I hired an artist to make a much better capsule art than what is currently on the page, and hopefully I'll have that by the end of the month, but we'll see. Which, hiring anyone to work on a game that I made feels just so strange, especially because my goal for making games is not to make money. It's to do something that I love and share it with everyone else. That is why the game will be listed for a very low price, likely around $2.99, $3.99. I haven't really decided completely yet, but somewhere in that price range. I want everyone who wants to be able to play the game to be able to do so, but I would also like my hobby to sustain itself. Sadly, artists aren't free, and I refuse to use AI art in any of my games. Well, I will say that I have an idea for a game that uses AI, but not in art or anything like that, or to help develop it, but really as a main game mechanic, but maybe I'll talk about that another time. With all that out of the way, this is a devlog after all, so let me show you what I've been up to with the game. The short answer is a lot, but let's just jump into the game and you will see a lot of what I've already done just from playing. So actually, first thing you'll notice is the little icons here that show up on the New Run button and everything like that. You'll also notice that we have a fun little cursor now. Like I said, I'm taking this a little bit more seriously, so I'm getting more serious about it. One of the serious parts of that is controller support. That's what those little things are here. It's to kind of signify that this is the thing that's selected, this is what's going on, and if I actually had a controller plugged in, you would see as I go up and down, it'll move between all this. So controller support has been a big part of what I've been working on. So let's go ahead and hit New Run. Same couple of heroes here, a little bit of tweaks and everything like that, but oh, there's an engineer now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so we'll get to her in a minute, but actually let's show off just the 3 different heroes right now, because I think it's actually going to be a pretty interesting little surprise for everybody, because it's been a hot minute since I made an update, and there have been a lot of changes. So let's just start the run. First thing you will probably notice is that there are little graphics associated with all the attacks. So there's little, I'm going to call them After Effects streams coming out after every attack. Just makes things look a little bit more lively in my opinion. And as everybody levels up, they will get more attacks, more stuff gets on the screen. It all just gets a little bit more hectic as we go. As you can see, the Ranger has dagger attack still, but now the daggers have After Effects. She's kind of off screen, but it is what it is. I've also reworked the draft system, as you can see here, so you not only have your normal 3 drafts, you're always guaranteed a monster for every time you level up now. The only time you won't get a monster is if you've already unlocked them all at your current level. You'll also notice that we have this one right here, this uncommon one. And that is not one of the normal ones that was in there before, so this isn't a one-off upgrade, which is something I've added. So if you select that, you will just instantly gain MP, listed here as 20, to your MP bar. So kind of give you a risk-reward, a permanent upgrade versus instant upgrade. Maybe you can take out that hero, maybe that's what you're trying to do. So let's actually take that just to show you. So we instantly jumped up to 37, and then we can toggle between our heroes here. We can see the engineer doing her cool stuff. I don't know, didn't really pay too much attention to the graphics as I was grabbing them. But she has bombs, which is kind of an entirely new weapon in the game. It's very similar to the Ranger's Trap in a way as far as how it comes out, but very different in that it has just a gigantic AoE as well as some particle effects, which historically I haven't been doing in this game, but I decided that I kind of wanted to do that. So one of the things you'll notice here, normal stuff, the one-off upgrade again, but you will also notice that we have a Fungi enemy. He's very slow, but he has very high health, kind of your early tanking enemy. I will say, as you toggle this, one of the downsides of the engineer for the player is that She's very good. She's very good at taking out the fungi. She's very good at taking out your little kind of tanky enemies. That's kind of her specialty. Other heroes will struggle with it. For instance, the basic hero here, he struggles a lot with tanky enemies, but the ranger and the engineer less so, but a little bit for the ranger. Something that's not so obvious that I will get to later is I updated the pathfinding on all of these guys. I'll touch on that in a minute. Let's just go ahead and cheat a little bit, and we will go ahead and give ourselves a little bit more XP, level up again. You will also notice on the level up screen there is this nice little falling particle thing, just kind of gives you a little bit more, you know, pizzazz as you level up. Snakes have been added. They are just super quick, like really quick. It's not too much of a problem for the engineer, but they are in the game now. It's just another monster that I've added. So let's just cheat a little bit more. Let's level up heroes a couple times, and she'll show off her new attack, and we will show off a skeleton while we're at it. So skeletons does exactly what it says on the tin. They're kind of like a swarm enemy. They spawn 2 times the normal amount, which is another mechanic that I've added, kind of the ability to vary up spawn stuff. The skeleton's the only one that implements it, and that's probably all I'm going to have to start, but it is kind of cool to be able to hit that button once, and instead of spawning 10 enemies, it spawns 20. Again, engineer very good at handling a lot of things, but one of the things she's particularly good at is handling large swarms. So actually, if I just give myself 50 MP, because why not, I can just swarm in a bunch of skeletons, and she will just absolutely dominate them, because the fire bottle is a new attack that has been added, and it explodes like that, and it leaves a little AoE on the ground that if they walk through it, they'll take damage per tick, and it will kind of take out the enemies for that. So kind of a cool, another thing that hasn't really been in the game before but is now, is that. I'm really hoping to kind of expand that into the next character that I add. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with a wizard or if I'm going to go with another kind of character, but we'll see. Another thing to point out is whenever you checkmark the box for the skeleton, if the way the checkmark boxes work is it rolls through every monster that you have checked, as well as your basic zombies. If that monster, just happens to be part of the roll, they get spawned. For skeletons, 2 of them spawn every time, not just 1. So the skeleton is the only one that you can actually have that actually bolsters the amount of monsters that you spawn at a base point. Let's go ahead and cheat, give ourselves some more XP here, and see what's next. Oh, we actually didn't roll any monsters because we are not level 10, which is kind of a hidden mechanic that I have. You have to be a certain level to be able to roll more monsters. So one of the newer, higher level monsters is a ghost. They're kind of a good mix of all stats. They are pretty good at a lot of things, but again, the engineer is just so strong. She's kind of going to be one of the harder people in the game, I think. But let's just go ahead and cheat a little bit more. And then we will get the last enemy that's in the game is the slime. So I've actually added 5 new enemies, which is kind of cool. Before we just had these base 4 down here, but now we have 9 total. And the slime is just your ultimate tanky enemy. They might actually be able to overwhelm the engineer because she does a lot of damage, but her attacks are very slow. So if you can kind of get her off on her own, which she kind of is right now, you can kind of, layer up like this. And now with any luck, I'll be able to get her really shortly here. I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's kind of fun to do so. And then let's wrangle her around with some snakes, make her run right into the slimes that I've spawned. Okay, so let's go from the right, push her into the slimes. Oh, holy crap. Alright, I definitely have some tweaking to do. Let's go ahead and grab that 10 NP. Let's do this, legitimately. Just kidding. Let's just spawn a whole bunch. The fire bottles really do destroy the snakes, as you can see, but we managed to take out the engineer, which is actually a pretty big feat. I think I'm going to have to rework the sound effects, but otherwise, I'm feeling pretty confident with the state the game's in. I fixed a lot of bugs that existed prior to that, but I really do need to kind of address mostly the sound effect issues. But wind panel still in. I think I'm going to add a little bit of flair to this, but overall I do think I'm quite happy with the changes that I've implemented. And as it stands right now, no new upgrades, same upgrades. That's something I'm going to be looking at next. Settings panel looks roughly the same. One of the other things you'll notice is in the bottom right here, it says beta 0.5. I'm kind of sticking with that. I do think this is pretty close to a finished build. Before it was definitely alpha. but I do think right now it's just kind of like expanding the features a little bit. I think I want to add just a handful of actual things to make the game harder. So add some possible levels, add a little bit more meta upgrades, add a little bit more one-off upgrades, kind of flesh everything out, make everything play a little bit smoother, and then probably call it done. All right, moving on to the stuff that's a little bit more interesting to the game dev people on the channel. So I replaced the previous pathfinding logic of the heroes from basically to get close enough to a monster, instantly run in the exact opposite direction, to a kind of cool raycast system. So there are now raycasts for your cardinal directions, and if an enemy is within any of them, it notices that and it tells the hero, hey, run away from them in the opposite direction, unless there's a monster on these sides, in which case kind of like maneuver your way out of there. So it actually makes the heroes a lot harder to pin down without making them impossible to pin down. I did originally have way more granularity to this system and like way larger hit zones and like a smaller zone, and they just got way too slippery. They were really hard to pin down. They were doing some like real ninja moves to get away from monsters, and it wasn't something that I really wanted. The next thing that I've done is smooth out the spawning. So the way the spawning works in the game is there are nodes attached to every hero. As you switch which hero is actively selected, it moves to that hero and activates the nodes around them. Previously, there were only 9 nodes. Well, there were 12 nodes, I think, total. And now there are 28. There's a lot more, so it looks a lot more flowing, kind of like, as opposed to like them coming out of little tiny channels straight at heroes. Now it's kind of more like a wave effect because they kind of are dispersed all over. I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything else kind of with that mechanic as far as waves, but it definitely makes things feel a little bit smoother during the waves. Alright, now I'm going to show you guys the maps that I've been thinking of, but before I do that, you should go over to the channel, like and subscribe if you're already here. First time I'm asking for it, but I figured I should be doing it. Also, while you're already looking away from the video, head on over to the Steam page, drop Reverse Survivors a wish list. It helps out a lot. I'm just hoping to spread the fun of making games as well as the fun of playing games with everybody, so your support means a lot. Alright, so now this is the little kind of scene that I've set up for making my little maps. The way I do my maps for this game is just a parallax layer of a really big image, basically. So the one that we've had this whole time has been this particular plains one. It's been pretty good. Kind of what I'm thinking is another one similar to plains with a little bit of a more depthy palette and kind of some rocks to kind of signify that the heroes are getting closer to your lair. Your monsters are kind of the same strength as my plan, but the heroes are more powered up. The kind of logic there is they've worked their way through some of your monsters. Now they're a little bit stronger, and then they would move on a little bit closer to your quote-unquote kind of castle. I'm getting very ambitious with this. I don't know if I'll actually implement 4 levels. I might just stick with these 3, but this would kind of be like they're much closer. They're like right outside your desolate lair kind of area. And then the final one, which I actually haven't saved off. I actually haven't done this one yet because I really don't like the palette of it, and I really am not sure if I'm going to do it. I might just have 3 levels. And it's just kind of like they're in your castle, they're in your courtyard, but I didn't really find a good way to like do it. I just don't like any of this, so I don't know if that'll actually make it in the game. But I do think prior to the game launch, I think I'm going to have 3 areas, probably the select screen right after you select your heroes and you hit start run. It'll move you over to like a level select thing, and these kind of levels, depending on which way you go in, will probably give you a little bit more currency if you win in them because the heroes will be a little bit juiced up. But otherwise, I don't think I'm going to do too many mechanical changes based on that. Trying to keep the scope pretty simple to try to hit that Q2 release date, which is it's already March, so I kind of can't get too crazy with my scope. I kind of have to keep it pretty low, but I do think I can reasonably do these 3 levels and make them look kind of nice. But I think that's going to wrap it up for me for this one, guys. This has been Case of 41. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed what you see. Hopefully you'll actually like the game, like the changes I made, and drop the game a wish list and maybe pick it up whenever it launches on Steam. Thank you all so much. I will see you all next time.